What's up, everybody? John the Morguile here. Gonna do a brand new video for you. Hope you enjoy it. We're gonna respond to a video which claims to debunk the flat earthers and prove a ball Earth. In this video, what they do is they debunk a valid point made by flat earthers by contorting that point into an invalid straw man argument, which can then be attacked and, of course, easily defeated. If it doesn't make sense yet, it should by the time this video is through. So let's start from the beginning. We've all seen tons of high-altitude weather balloon footage where the Earth curvature can be seen in all of its glorious sphericity. Most people will scoff at the idea of a flat Earth as a direct result of footage from such flights as the famous Felix Baumgartner Red Bull jump from space. Since we can clearly see the curvature of the Earth from 20 miles up, and the Earth is most certainly a sphere, as they say. The problem is, when you send up your own weather balloon without using a fisheye lens, the pronounced curvature that we saw in the other videos no longer exists. Now, what does this prove? Does it prove the Earth's flat? Well, not necessarily. What it proves is that the videos such as the Red Bull jump were exaggerating and even inventing whole cloth Earth curvature, deliberately or otherwise. I personally tend to believe that this specific jump was indeed deliberately faking Earth curvature, as there were several cameras attached to the Red Bull capsule, all of which create the illusion of drastic, obvious Earth curvature. And I don't think that can be done by accident, but not all of the cameras were so oriented. There was one, the interior camera facing out towards the front hatch, which actually shows the horizon that conspicuously lacks the curvature found in all the other cameras on the same capsule. But that is a bit besides the point. The point is, in videos like this one that we're reviewing here, the globetards have completely confused the issue at hand so as to give the appearance that flat earthers are claiming that videos without fisheye lenses prove the Earth is flat. Now, this is a distortion of the truth. Videos such as this one really only prove one thing. They prove that the curvature that we've all seen from classic weather balloon footage was manufactured by video trickery. Now, the question is, if the Earth were actually a sphere, then why would anyone need to fake Earth curvature from high-altitude balloon flights? Now, of course, the fisheye lenses used in such flights as the Red Bull jump from space do indeed create the illusion of curvature at any altitude. So whether you're 10 feet up or 10 miles up or 20 miles up, the fisheye lenses will create this illusion. So like if you're standing on a basketball court using a fisheye lens, I suppose the basketball court is a sphere, right? The orientation of this curvature that we see apparently through a fisheye lens depends on the angle of the camera towards the horizon. So it will cause convexity if the horizon is below the camera's line of sight, and it will cause concavity if the horizon is above the camera's line of sight. Now, this tells me that the people responsible for setting up the cameras for the Red Bull jump were deliberately faking curvature, as all of the fisheye cameras are perfectly oriented to produce this apparent curvature. It is very unlikely that they would accidentally set all their cameras up to fake Earth curvature, right? And of course, if you study the proportion of the apparent fake curvature relative to the altitude in, like, say, the Red Bull jump, it doesn't stack up to a ball with a radius of 4,000 miles. In other words, the Red Bull jump implies that we live on planet New Mexico, according to the ridiculous amount of curvature that you see there. And of course, in typical globetard fashion, instead of conceding that the point that they were wrong about classic balloon footage proving the round Earth, they actually just ignore the spirit of that actual issue at hand. They try to use their own ignorance as proof of how stupid flat earthers are. In this video clip, the famous Dogcam high-altitude flight is claimed to show Earth curvature, even though no fisheye lens was used. Now, this is very deceptive, as a small degree of curvature we see is the result of two factors, neither of which are geological rotundity. The primary factor is the fact that the horizon appears at the level of the camera, 360 degrees around the observer. In other words, the horizon is an equidistant circle around the observer, slightly below the level of the eye. Now, this is true even at low altitudes where there are no obstructions towards the horizon in all directions, such as even out at sea. So, for example, if you climb to the top of a mast at a ship at sea, the illusion of curvature is still apparent and is generated by the same principle that we see in the Dogcam flight. Now, there are other factors involved, including refraction, but the point is the horizon is an optical phenomenon, not a geometric one. Every point of the horizon is essentially a vanishing point, as in perspective, and each of these points is equidistant from the observer, 360 degrees in all directions, causing the illusion of a curve. Okay, so just to take a moment to describe this diagram that I made, it's not to scale, but it's intended to show the principle that I'm describing. So, as you can see, the line of sight of the observer there is angled down towards the ground. Now, that isn't exactly accurate because, well, we're looking at the observer from a third-person perspective. If we were standing where the observer is, the horizon would, of course, appear to be at eye level or just below eye level. This is, of course, due to the operations of perspective, where any object that is below your line of sight, as it gains distance from you, it will apparently raise up towards your line of sight. Okay, and so that applies for this whether the Earth was a sphere or whether the Earth is flat. So to give an example of what we mean here is take a look at this perspective drawing of railroad tracks. The railroad tracks in the distance at the vanishing point appear to meet with the blue sky. Now, we certainly know that the railroad tracks are below us, below our feet, and we also understand that the sky is above us. Yet, due to the operations of perspective, the railroad tracks appear to line up with our line of sight and join with the sky above. So this is a bit of an optical illusion. Certainly we understand that the railroad tracks don't actually raise up towards our eye. It is an optical phenomenon. As you can see, the horizon is an equidistant circle around the observer, and of course he wouldn't see the horizon below him. It would appear at his eye level or just below the eye level. So this is the principle we're talking about. If you were to raise this observer up higher in altitude, his angle of attack towards the horizon would indeed be a wider angle of attack, therefore constituting a larger circle around him. But this principle applies, again, even if you're out at sea. It's hard to find videos that capture this, or it's hard to express this principle in videos. But I have been out at sea and climbed atop the mast of a ship, and you do get the same effect, where the horizon is, of course, at eye level, is an equidistant circle around you, and you do get this illusion of curvature. And that's exactly the same thing that's happening with the Dogcam footage, where you have this minor apparent curvature. Has nothing to do with Earth curvature. It has to do with the way in which our eyes interpret reality. The main thing is, and I would say, yes, circles are always curved, but curved things are not always spheres, right? So anyway, the main thing here is the fact that flat earthers never made the argument that non-fisheye videos like the ones from the Dogcam flight proved flat earth. That really was never the argument. The argument only ever was the fact that fisheye lens videos do not prove curvature, right? Okay, so for videos like this to claim the curvature we've seen in the Dogcam flight debunks flat earthers' point is a total red herring. Not only do they misunderstand what the horizon is, but they also misrepresent the actual point made by flat earthers, which was, again, we proved that they were faking curvature with fisheye lenses. The fact of the matter is, many people were convinced for years of Earth curvature due to this sort of trick photography. Of course, even if the Earth were a ball, you would never see such drastic curvature from the altitude of a weather balloon. Furthermore, assuming a flat Earth with an atmosphere which refracts light, you would indeed expect the horizon to appear as a circle around you, slightly below eye level. Now, this apparent horizon will grow in radius proportionally with altitude as your angle of attack or your line of sight towards the horizon grows wider and wider as you gain in altitude, thus constituting a larger and larger circle around you, even though the Earth is flat. So, once again, the globetards use their ignorance as a weapon against the truth and will always try to subtly repackage valid flat Earth arguments into something that they can present as proof of the globe Earth. And, they've been doing this for as long as I've been into this stuff. So, all right, guys, and so before we wrap this thing up, I do want to mention a quick plug for a brother and friend in truth. He runs a ministry called the Good Samaritan Ministries in South India. And, this whole coronavirus scamdemic thing is affecting everybody to different degrees. Here in America, we tend to take things for granted, like the stimulus checks that many people have already gotten, places like the Salvation Army that will provide you with food and shelter if you need it. Over there in South India, these people are struggling just to get bags of rice to their parishioners. And so Ravi had reached out to me sort of serendipitously as I was working on this video and asked me if there was any way that I could help to, maybe just get some awareness towards their situation. And so here's a little slide with their information. I'll put some information in the description box as well if you would like to contribute to their ministry. That's entirely up to you. Also, of course, I'm going to do a shameless plug for my own little situation here. So if you'd like to contribute to this channel efforts, we are struggling just like everybody else. Of course, we all struggle to different degrees, but if you'd like to help out and you can send a support contribution to PayPal or Patreon. It's www.paypal.me/themorguile or patreon.com/themorguile. Also, I've set up a third option for contributions at Venmo. You can go to venmo.com/themorguile. Thanks so much for watching, guys. God bless. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.